Peter!
Jackson.
We got the peacock and the orange today.
Yeah, Peacock and Pamplemousse.
Peacock and pamplemousse. The double P combination with the peacock pranayama as well.
PP.
We got the double synchron we got the all the synchronicities.
PP.
So this episode we're gonna start it a little bit different than say some other episodes. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna guide everyone through a little bit of breath work at the start, just to help bring us into a little bit more grounded state and maybe a state where you're a little bit more ready to receive and just ready to just calm down. So I invite you all, if you're open to it, to just start by maybe closing your eyes or softening your gaze and just feeling supported by the surface beneath you. Allowing yourself to just sink maybe a little bit deeper to where you're feeling right now. Feeling supported by maybe the chair, couch, the mattress, the ground, in whatever state you're receiving this. Maybe you want to start to bring your awareness onto the breath. Just bringing that awareness into what the inhales look like. Just feeling where you feel that in your body. And just feeling how it feels for you. And then start to bring it into the exhale as well too. Is your exhale fast? Is it slow? Have you ever thought about bringing awareness onto your exhale before? And just starting to really just ground down into the moment. And then maybe as well, you can think of some somatic things around you. Is there any smells that are in your space? Can you maybe smell some smells of a drink you're drinking, some food you cooked earlier? Maybe it's the fresh air breeze around you. Maybe try to feel that around. And then you could start to bring your awareness on to the felt sensation. What does the point of contact with your body, with the surfaces around you look like? Are you wearing soft clothes today? Or maybe are they a little rougher? Are you wearing clothes that are very long and baggy, or are they more tight fitting to you? Is the surface beneath you, is it nice and hard, or is it a more soft surface? And just starting to bring your awareness onto that. Maybe you can hear something as well besides my voice. Maybe you can hear a fan that's going on in your room. Maybe you're outside and you can hear some different sounds of nature. Or maybe you can hear some cars. Or maybe you can just go and hear like some music that's going in the background too. And just really picking up those different sensations that are around. Or maybe even see if there's something you can taste as well. Were you drinking something earlier that it leaves a taste in your mouth? What about something that you were eating? Is there a smell that's so strong that you can taste it in your mouth? And it's something that's really present for you. And now start to maybe bring your awareness into your breath again. And what we're going to do is we're really gonna elongate our inhale and our exhale in a nice cadence breathing pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to have equal parts inhales with equal parts exhales. And we're going to do 7-second inhale and 7-second exhale. And try to make your inhales and exhales the same amount of force through the whole time. So to start, you can slowly just start to have an exhale out through your nose, just a regular one, whatever that looks like. And bring an inhale through your nose, just a regular one at this. Then one more exhale. And then we can start to do a 7-second inhale. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can keep the 7-second cadence if it feels right for you, or maybe you want to slow it down a little bit and you want to make it even longer. Or if 7 seconds feels like too much for you, you can always make it shorter and do like a 5-second or 4-second cadence. Really focusing on what that breath feels like when it comes into your body. Then whenever you exhale, just allowing whatever doesn't serve you to go, and just taking yourself further and further down into a deeper rest. Just allowing any parts of yourself that are maybe feeling agitated or maybe not in the best state, just giving some love to them. Maybe when you take your breath in, you're filling yourself up with love and gratitude for the present moment. Then when you let those exhales go, you're really receiving that love and you're allowing it to fill every cell in your body. And just knowing that you chose to show up here for yourself, for your betterment, and just to help support the journey that you're on. And just give yourself that pride for that. You know that you're worthy of receiving love. You're worthy of giving it as well too, and that it can be received. So slowly, we'll do 2 more rounds of whatever breath that you're on. Just allowing yourself to fully give that exhale out and fully receive that inhale in. And when you do get to the end of your 2 rounds, you can just come back to your natural breath, whatever that looks like for you. You could keep your eyes closed if that feels right, and just stay in this moment for a little bit longer. Just feeling this sense of comfort, of relaxation, of groundedness into the moment. And just know that this is a safe space. Just listen along, maybe receive anything you hear today, and just take this part of relaxation and presence into the rest of your day. So slowly, you can start to wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers to wake the body up a little bit. You might want to move the shoulders side to side, maybe the neck side to side as well too. Just slowly allowing the body to awaken. And slowly, whenever you feel right, you can start to open the eyes. You might want to focus on one object, then allow the rest of your vision to orient back into this present moment to see whatever you see around you. And slowly just come back to your body, come back to your senses, and just back into this present moment. So yeah, thank you for listening along, and we'll keep going with this podcast. I'll keep flowing with this too.
Mm.
Thank you for receiving, Peter.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So, one of the things that I think would be nice is, so today I was on a walk, and I'd like to open this with a little story of something that came to me during the walk. So, this is going to be about competition versus collaboration. So today when I was going on a walk to go get some pizza actually, and when I was walking, I happened to see a school ground. And it must have been gym class or something, because all of a sudden a huge herd of kids just started running out of the school, and they all were running along the fence. And and then it reminded me very strongly of being school age and the strong emphasis on competition in almost like every area. Whether it's sports, trying to outdo your buddies, you're saying like a race with your classmates, and you're just seeing who is the one who can do the race the fastest, who can go and who can keep up their pace like the longest and the fastest, and who can get to like the flagpole the fastest, or who can like outdo their buddy or outdo their friends or outdo their classmates to be so that they can be like the best in whatever thing. That really made me think of how, at least when I was growing up, there was a really strong emphasis on competition in everything that was done in school. Like even with the grading system, you wanted to get the best grades that you could, and you wanted to be like the most athletic you could. You wanted to say be like the most creative that you could. You wanted to say maybe even like have like a nice lunch as well too. And you really, it was the strong emphasis of like, how can you outdo everyone? How can you go and shine a little bit better than everyone? And that was something that was really present for me when I was growing up, and something that I noticed even when I was walking by. And it's even noticed on like my little bit of a change that I've had now. Because I think competition can be great and it can be a great thing for working forward. However, I think there should be less of an emphasis on competition, especially competition with others, and a more emphasis on collaboration. So instead of trying to be the best, how can you work together so that you both can rise or the whole collective can rise? And that way you can share your tips and tricks together so you both can rise together. Even with being in community as well too. Like there's a lot of people that just come and they're trying to show up for themselves. It's like how can I help support people so that and like collaborate with them so that way they can reach their full potential. Or even instead of just you yourself reaching like being like the best at something, how can the whole group elevate to the next level? Or how can a group of you elevate to the next level? And instead of just going and working with like just yourself or like trying to outdo others, how can you raise the whole standard of everyone else? And that's been something that was really present for me. Just seeing how much even there's been a shift with myself, and just to even see how that was something that was so present for me throughout like the early years, middle school, high school, then my badminton journey, trying to be the best that I could. And now it's going from how can we all grow together. So that was a story that felt very, very alive for me this morning when I was thinking about sharing today.
Hmm.
Was that was that something that you've experienced a lot, Peter? Was competition?
Yeah. And I wonder if that's something that we have to learn um, with our own experience. The idea of taking pleasure, finding pleasure and gratification and fun in a sport when we all help each other and it's not about being better than the next guy. I wonder when we figure that out. Um, or is that something we already have in us? And the structures that we're born into tell us that because of human beings' primal urge to compete, I think we could compare that maybe to our primitive origins where it was
Mm.
survival of the fittest. And that was competition was, to bring out survival in the tribe. But now, are we just dealing with a remnant of that? Or are kids just taught that they have to be better to matter? I don't agree with everyone's a winner and eliminating the urge to better oneself to get the best performance you can. But receiving first prize if you didn't try, that's not right. So the equality of outcome thing I don't agree with, but I know that when I was a kid, I just liked playing. I didn't want to have to compete against my fellow teammates, um, in order to get that feeling of satisfaction and gratification at the end of a hockey game. My favorite experiences in hockey were when we had scrimmages, which we're just playing for fun, you know? And I remember everyone had such a good time because there was no like who won, who lost. We all just had fun playing. And, we still tried and we still laughed at each other and tried to knock each other down and get one over on each other, but it was fun. And that memory sticks out in my mind more than any, oh, we won the flippin' minor hockey Stanley Cup, whatever, whatever the equivalent, like we used to drive to Kamloops and play, hockey teams all through BC and I still have the patches over there I just found. And, I gave the trophies away a long time ago. Something anyway, it's funny going to Value Village and look at all the trophies. Uh, yeah, meaningless trophies, right? It's like, yeah, you won a trophy, but what was the experience? You know?
Mm.
So I'm curious whether I know that was a real windy road I took you down, but I'm curious what where the line is, where the gradient is, the crossfader on our human urge to compete and be better than the next person in order to feel self-worth, or that other part of us which is going, I know it's there from childhood because it was there for me and I'm not the only one, uh, but I felt that higher pleasure or greater joy at doing something that made everyone have a good time and not, and it kind of maybe I think it's one of the cases of masculine, feminine, or the left ladder or the right ladder, the bliss or the ego, chasing which one. I think it's a matter of finding that balance because I know that I've gone far too down the road of, oh, I don't matter. I want everyone else to, I'll take pleasure in their successes, and that will make me feel good. Well, guess what? That left me with, well, I don't want to say nothing, but it left me with not a solid self-esteem and foundation because I followed that too much. So I think, yeah, it all comes back down to every other darn thing in life is finding a balance of those opposing masculine, feminine sides. Because healthy competition, I think they call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I know that without blaming my father or anyone else's father or parents, I know that that's a big thing of, you know, pressure to win and, oh, you're better than that kid down the street. Why'd you let him score a goal on you? Or why'd you miss that pass? Or, you weren't trying as hard. And, he skates faster. Well, come on, Peter. Like, I'm not saying that my dad did that, but I know that there was pressure and, to be the best. My son's going to be the best.
Mm.
And so that exists. And I think kids are, you know, nowadays that's, so taboo to be like that. So maybe that's improving with all this cultural shifting. It's funny the Watiko chapter 12 is all about this culture, woke culture and all that stuff. Yeah, so I will not dare go down that road right now. Uh, So there's the parents' pressure. There's also peer pressure, and
Mm,
there's also kids finding their place in the social and like where do I fit in? Do I like competing? Maybe I want to go do something else. But I think competition exists in everything in our society, like finding a girlfriend. Um, you know, if you paint, you still gotta it's like, oh, we like painting together and hanging out and art and creativity, so communal and oh wow. But don't you fucking take that job because I want to paint that wall. Or hey man, I want to get up my stuff in the gallery. Oh, and it all comes down to like, well, we're gonna have to jury the show and find out who's most qualified. And
mm.
uh so I guess now nobody wants to work, so there's no competition for finding a job. You don't have to know what you're doing. You just get a job, right? Where was I the other day? I asked some employee something, and he's just like, I don't know. We both just laughed because it's like, you know, at least we're here. Yeah, yeah, man. So I don't know if I answered your question or what you were just asking my experience with that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
There,
hear you.
that's
I
my
hear
rant.
you. Yeah, and I mean, I guess there definitely is that healthy competition, and
Mm.
like you said, with the masculine, feminine, there can be definitely between the two, like finding that balance between the two of it as well. So yeah. Um, what would you like to talk about what's alive for you, or would you like me to talk about what's been alive for me first?
Well, I just dumped a big load of words on everyone, so everyone, look at all these people.
Yeah, all the beautiful
Yeah,
faces
you
that
can
we're
just see,
talking to.
yeah, all over the world, people just clinging to their device. Let's hear Jackson. What's alive for him?
Yes. So what's something that's been very alive for me lately has been the balance of, well, just balance of my life. I felt like I've been in entering a new chapter where there's been a lot of workload, and it's been like between two jobs, and it's been going and getting that and shifting it from like one stage where I'm doing both to slowly switching to like less of one and more of the other, and like slowly going between the two and making it work. And it's been like trying to balance, like when you say have one area of your life that's been taking up so much energy and so much time and effort, how can you go and bring back other areas of your life and not like get lost in the sauce, I'll call it. Like I've had experiences where, like, say for instance, work is so strong, it's so present, that's the only thing I have. And then afterwards I'm like, and then it kind of slows down. I'm like, whoa, like who am I? Or where am I at? Like how am I doing? And it's been like, for me lately, it's been like, how can I keep that area of my life or like slowly transition to the other one, but also not letting myself, I'll say, get lost in the sauce, and not letting myself really get fully like over invested or like fully thrown into it. And it's been interesting. I've had an experience lately, which I don't know if this is true or not, but something that's felt for me is my memory. I don't know if it's just getting a little bit older, but my memory, it doesn't seem to be as quite as sharp as it used to be. Like I can't quite recall everything like I used to. And that's been something that's been funny. So it's even like taking time to go and like, well, like say journaling or taking time at the end of the night to even like think about the day, or after a task to think about the day. Because some days like I'll feel like, what did I do last Wednesday? And I'm like, I don't know. Or I'll be like, what did I do even yesterday or the day before that? I'm like, I don't know. So or because I feel like for me, something that's came up is like, there's just been a lot of like information, like a lot to do, like boom, 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 boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And it's like learning to like take that, sense that, integrate it, and then move on, and taking that space for integration. And that's been something. That's really been coming up for me. And then even something our teacher likes to talk about a lot too, the I get to versus I have to mindset. Like for instance,
Mm,
I get to go to work. I get to work these jobs. I get to meet these people. I get to do the activities. I get to show up for these people. I get to grow myself in that way versus I have to. I have to be at work all these times. I have to do this. I have like, and then it's even a change. Or there's a guy that I've worked with, and he's part of like one of the companies, and I'm part of like a different one. And he works a lot. He is like between two different gyms, and he's like always doing things, always moving. And I'm like, it's like, when do you get days off? He's like, well, I don't. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, but it doesn't, but he's like, I'm doing what I really enjoy, so it doesn't feel like work. And it's coming from that perspective as well. Even though your life might be very full, learning to be like, well, like you're doing the stuff you want to do. You're doing the stuff that brings you joy. You're doing the stuff that brings you happiness. And knowing that that might be more fulfilling than just dead space or free time might be. And that was a very interesting perspective. Or instead of like going and feeling like I have to do this, I have to do that. And that's been a big thing. I even think with like burnout, that's been a big thing is like finding ways to still even though things can kind of get into a monotony, or even though things can be so like this, taking time to add like a little spice to your life, add a little bit of color, add a little bit of how can you forget who posted. I know our teacher posted this. It was a video about after the eclipse. After the eclipse, you still gotta fold the laundry. You still gotta cook.
yeah.
You still gotta do the things and like seeing how you can find enjoyment in those moments.
Mm,
And like amidst the small things, still like bringing presence and joy and love and just appreciating those areas of life too. Even though how monotonous they might seem, but they're still essential and necessity to have to do. So,
mm,
yeah. So that's been something that's really been big and present for me lately. I feel like that's
mm,
been a big like theme in my life is learning to learning to shift the perspective from I have to versus I get to, and then trying to bring more enjoyment within the process.
mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. You also, I believe that I also get to make decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and I also get to decide, do I really want to do what I'm doing right now? And these other five things that I've been doing, I get to say no more. I'm just going to choose. That's where I'm at with that statement of I get to versus I have to. Like I
Mm.
have to take this sewing machine I broke back to Canadian Tire. I have to organize all my stuff again and deal with my van again and do this event on the weekend and go do have the call tonight and a call tomorrow night and finish my homework and chase people down and oh yeah, do I do artwork still? I don't know. Well, like I get to go, you, and you out. I'm sticking with this thing now because I'm really getting. I'm trying to choose my words carefully because, of course, we're casting spells with our words. Um, I think I'm finished. Um, Trying to get to do everything. I get to be an artist. I get to be a breathwork student. I get to start facilitating soon. I get to have events pop up all over town. I get to be a dad or try and be a dad and try and be a partner and try and like I can't. I see. There's the words I don't want to say. I can't. I don't want to say that. I choose to choose. right now. And like, yeah, the eclipse is done. You still have to fold. I don't fold my laundry. I don't even wash my dishes. I just rinse them with hot water. Whatever. Uh, so yeah, the eclipse is done, and I still have to do the monotonous day to day maintenance of self care and life. And I can choose to refine that and say, what if I didn't do all these other things? What if I had one cup? What if I had one bowl and I ate out of that bowl and drank out of that bowl? I'm not going to go to the bathroom in that bowl. But what if I got rid of all my clothes and had one shirt, one sweater, one pants, one short, two socks, and one hat? What if all of my art supplies went into storage and I walked around town with one book that I wrote in all my ideas down? And what if at the end of each week I went through all my notes and compiled a beautiful lecture and did some great oratorial experience? Look at me go, and posted it on YouTube, and then boiled that sucker down to a 3-minute stand-up comedy set. And every week I did this, and I washed my bowl. I washed my one set of clothes, and I did my practices, more and more dedication to the breath work, cold bathing, movement, exercise, strength training, walking in nature. What if I stopped doing all this shit and said, I get to choose what I do now? Because that eclipse, let me tell you, I had a little mock funeral. You saw, yeah, you saw that, right? Yeah. So
Mm,
yeah, I think I stirred the pot a little too hard and caused a lot of things and around me to come crashing down.
mm. Is that something that you're wanting to talk about? Or
Well,
or talking about the funeral?
I might as well, without naming any names or identifying who they are, what role they are in my life, because people that know me will know who they are. Like if they saw it, you know, these people in my life, they saw this, they'd be pissed. And they're already mad enough and hurt and upset. But um, even though I've let my alcoholism die, even though I've embraced this new path of, you know, self-realization, and I'm giving up a lot of things that I was wanting to do for me so that I can be here for others, which I'm happy to do. I can't find any little. I know I can always improve, but I've done everything I can in my life right now to be the best I can. And yet, this negative pattern of bringing in brokenness into my circle, and then just by being who I am, further breaking the brokenness around me, hurting others, even though I'm doing everything possible to help myself and be of service to others, this pattern, I'm still drawing it into my field, you know? So, well, I don't know. Throwaway sentences. Um, that's what's going on. And it all kind of unraveled after the funeral, really, really, really got real. Yeah. The mock funeral where I made a cardboard coffin, and gave myself a little eulogy, and threw the coffin in the dumpster. Old identity gone, old label gone, new me here. And oh, great, just in time for, like, yeah, you thought you got rid of stuff, and your bright new sun, new eclipse, new springtime, resurrection. Like, oh, perfect. Now you can receive this like even deeper lesson of the ripples of that thing, that pattern I keep drawing into my field. uh how we're doing this work where we use the different tools of the movement uh for the physical, and then we use breath work and stuff for the emotional, releasing trying to release these patterns that aren't serving us. And I seem to have released a lot and moved forward in higher vibration. But it doesn't mean that my problems have gone away. They keep coming back to me. And I guess now I have to say, well, what process do I use now to further let go of this trap I'm in? Do you know what I mean by that self-replicating cycle of constantly bringing in the same problems, like taking a car to the mechanic, saying this is broken, and then they fix it, and then you drive away and it breaks again, you
Mm.
know, and like you keep fixing the same problem. Why I keep fixing the same problem, and it keeps showing up in ever more, it's supposed to be lighter ripples as I move through the layers, you know? Like I release the pattern, it shows up again. I release it more, it shows up again. I release it, shows up, and I can just see it and observe it and not get attached to it. And eventually that pattern stops, is what I'm hoping. But I just brought it back in a very big way. So I don't know what to do. What do I do, young Jackson?
What do you do? Oh man. What would, if you were to choose to do anything about it, what do you think that choice would start with? Or where
It
do
was, yeah, it would start with um, surrender. And that means giving up on what I've been trying to build again here. Like building a house on the sand. I keep building a house on the sand, and the house keeps sliding into the ditch. So what I'm saying is, I think I want to leave. I want to go back to my life in the van, and not in Victoria, and just leave things be, because it seems like I keep causing more damage, even when I'm doing super well. This, that's what I feel, and so that feels like it sounds like running away. Like, well, you drive that car back to the mechanic, he sees you and just goes, "We're closed." Like, no, I'm not touching your car again. It just So he runs away. He's like, "I'm not fixing that shit again." Well, actually, a mechanic, he'd take the money, but he'd probably be so sick of you he wouldn't want to, right? So, yeah, it'd be nice if we had a big audience. They could all write in the comments. So, I think you should come to my house, and I'll make you a bowl of soup. You can park your van on my lawn in my backyard. I have a farm. Come and park at my house. Yeah.
Hmm.
I just want to be free. And I'm only here because I feel like I owe a soul contract to those that you know, my life has affected.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I can be free until I make amends to those people. Meanwhile, my amends, it seems like it's just turning into more complicated trauma for these people. So maybe freedom is going, I'm free. I've apologized. I've proven that I'm well now. And I've seen what being around you is causing. And I'm going to allow that and accept that and surrender to that. I cannot fix things. And maybe things are, as our teacher says, perfect. And this is the path of the people in my life. This is part of it, is not having me in it and letting them go through their process without me. Oh, can I do some breathing with you? Oh, can I do mediation with you? Oh, can I sit with you and be here for you while you go through your process? And can we work, Oh, hi. Hi. Hi, Mom.
That's my sister.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, you get young Jackson's sister edition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good old Cassidy.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's my daughter's new name. Yeah, Cass.
Really?
It's Cass. Yeah, Cass. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe that was a sign.
Hmm.
Maybe I should ask her what to do.
I don't know what she'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll leave her alone. So that made me think of the Pinocchio.
Hmm.
Our good friend JBP. I dare not say his full name. Dare I offend everyone? But I'll tell you who JBP is later if you don't know.
Okay.
Jordy P.
Just wait. Okay, I might know. I think I have
Yeah,
an idea.
yeah. The guy that everyone loves to hate for
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
for
yeah.
being very smart and very articulate and trying to communicate what's really going on. But people get too sensitive and mislabel him.
One sec.
You gonna
He-
spit?
No. I'm gonna drink some water.
So you look like you're gonna go like a cowboy.
Anyway,
So
JBP.
he always talks about Pinocchio and the symbolism in Pinocchio. And Guillermo del Toro, wonderful movie maker, director, producer, I'm not sure what his title is, everything. He's redone Pinocchio, retold the story in his very interesting way. Pan's Labyrinth is one of his movies. So you can imagine what Pinocchio's like from a guy like that. I don't know what else he's done. Anyhow, um, big fan of the guy, Guillermo del Toro. And big fan of Pinocchio, that story, big fan of JBP. And the idea in Pinocchio that I'm comparing my situation to is bearing our burden or bearing the cross. Like there's big symbology in that movie of Geppetto is carving the cross, and then he's got a burden to carry with his son dying. And then,
Hmm.
Pinocchio turns out to be a really wild and unruly boy and runs off. And, you know, I'm still trying to figure out the pieces and the symbolism, but there's something there. And I just watched that the other night, and I'm not sure if my burden is staying here and giving up on my own, what I want to do with my life, and just sitting in this repeating cycle of dysfunction and just bearing that, just holding that, trying to hold some of that pain for those around me that I've affected. Like it's like that's kind of reminds me of martyrdom or something,
Hmm.
you know? Like I forego my life for my for a cause. I guess in my case, I'm giving up my life because of my sins to these people, which, yes, they have a hand in it too, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about me. So is that the big cross to bear, or is the cross to bear leaving and just carrying that knife in my guts and that pain in my heart when I think of these people, and carrying on with my life, bearing that pain with me? So,
Hmm.
yeah,
I hear you. Would would you be open to hearing a question?
that's why we're here.
Yeah. So when you talk about yeah, when you talk about even like going on with the knife in your in your side, like either like the pain of staying and trying to help versus leaving and the knife in your side. Could could that knife be released?
Oh, yeah, yeah, like what's that story? Oh, there's a story about the knife, releasing the knife that we're causing our suffering with. Yeah, there's an old traditional folk tale about that. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And the way to release it is by fully embracing it and fully feeling it and letting it turn into light, and releasing it, like not stop punishing myself with it and just love it. So, yeah, should I stay or should I go? Either way, I've got to love that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the burden part? You know, do you know what I mean about bearing a burden through life and accepting things that, you know, I guess, yeah, we can love them. Did Christ love his cross? Yeah, yeah, because that was his sacrifice for the people that he loved, humanity, right? Taking on that pain so that they could be free, taking the sin of the world. So yeah, he loved that, and yeah, he was released, and but a little bit of a different situation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
And it's like, do you have to bear that cross? Do you have to choose to love that cross? Or it's kind of like, do you choose to move on and love the knife within you and try to release it? Or do you try to be that cross in the current life and almost hold that and try and like keep trying to build the sand castle in the sand, trying to rebuild it to a point where it doesn't go into the ditch again? Or do you try to build that sand castle or a different type of house or a different type of castle or house on, say, a different structure or a different area? And it's like, are you able to connect to the two? Or is space better? Is it worse?
mm.
And it's almost like, what do you want? What pain do you want to bear, or what do you want to transmute?
The real pain is knowing that another is still suffering
Hmm.
and not doing anything about it. You know, by leaving town and moving on with my life again, I'll always know that that other person is still suffering. I haven't guided them to their healing yet. I haven't
Hmm.
I haven't just stood around here so that they know that I'm here. They have to live with the pain of knowing that I've left and given up. So I don't know how to let that go. And I think, yeah, it's tricky.
Could you still be there, but not have to be the one that guides them to the light?
Mm, yeah, but what do I do in the meantime when I see that by being here seems to cause problems?
Hmm, I hear you.
Yeah, it's like a double bind.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear you what you're saying.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's the I just received a what? A link. I just got a text in from our teacher there. Um, I don't know what it meant. Send me the link. What link? Oh, I don't I think it was from like, these apps. They just keep coming in, and you catch a little blip of the conversation. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we've sat with that one long enough
Yeah.
for
I
yeah.
I hear you, Peter. Well,
I'll
thank you for
see.
sharing.
Yeah, man. Thanks for your help processing it.
You're welcome. You're
Yeah.
welcome. Man, it's so interesting even to hear even with different parts of a person's life, different things that can kind of come up are different things that people go through at different areas or different phases of their life and different like things that kind of arise. Like for instance, I'm sure that like for instance, even just with age comes a lot of experience, and sometimes it just takes time to experience a certain part. And you just can't quite experience what something feels like until you're there, until you're at that point, until you experience it. Like for instance, I have no idea what 30 feels like, and I could never think of what being 30 feels like until I'm actually there and experiencing it. Versus say being like 21, there's certain things that I have to that come up just with that experience and that everyone like has to go through or at around this time and different things like that. And it's interesting how there's so many universal experiences, but there's some that you can't quite go through them until you kind of either hit a certain stage of life or you hit a certain age when it kind of comes up and it's very present. Like it's interesting. I can really sit here and and be there to support you, but I could never think of what that feel like. I could never imagine what that feels like. I could think about it, but I could never. But that's like a whole experience that you kind of just have to live through. But you can be there to support, and that's a whole interesting thing too. So yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
How's your Watiko going?
Well, you just heard it.
Oh, I guess so. I guess I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we were doing the study group for a little while, and then the Easter holidays threw that off. So,
Hmm.
yeah, but I've been getting back into good trying to get because it's really hard for me to listen and I get lost really quickly. But the Paul Selig work, the I am the word, so I can only handle a little bit of that at once before it's kind of overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much in it, and I find I listen the audiobook and 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, all the words are going right through me. I'm not
Mm.
retaining anything. It's like it's something about it. I can only grasp tiny little bits at once. So I've been hitting that again and then doing like I said last time, the law of one, the raw stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
with Tico, I it's like the breath book, the James Nestor book. I just every once in a while I repeat. I go through it all again, just casually while I'm doing stuff and pick up different parts. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and
Cool.
I've been it's been cool to see. other podcasts talk about it that I listen to, you know, they've been
Mm,
mentioning it. And uh, I just find with this chapter 12 and 13 about, you know, society and woke culture and technology and government and you know, propaganda, manipulation, and willful blindness, and clinging on to one thing when you know it's wrong just because you're afraid of what the truth is, and letting that run the world and just snowball into ever greater tyranny, the tyranny without a tyrant, that movable bug in the system that no one can find but affects us all. And it's like, you know, it takes a lot of the my on one hand, we're learning how to accept that everything's perfect and everything is happening for us, and on the other hand, we're learning there's a major dark force at work in humanity, some call Watiko, that is sowing discord and lies and tearing us all apart.
mm,
So what is it? Well, it like, yeah, I guess this is happening for some eventual final catastrophe that'll allow us to die and be reborn, you know, like, whereas is that the positive side of this is we'll reach such a point where we break and finally come to the truth and the light.
mm.
What do you think about the chapter 13 of 12 and 13?
Well, I haven't quite got there yet, if I'm being
Oh,
honest.
what? But that's the homework.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know, I
busted.
know,
Oh,
I know. I am still a bit behind.
oh
I'll
no.
admit I am a bit behind on Watiko. I'm gonna be right
Mhm.
after this. That's when I'm gonna be fully diving into the ruler archetype as well.
Oh, yeah. So you haven't done that one either?
Right
Ah,
after this, I will. Yes, I will. I'll admit I'm a little
you
bit
go.
behind.
Yeah. You got to get
I'll.
the audiobook.
I do. You know what? You know when you talk about the I am the word, like how you can only retain so much. Sometimes
Audiobook. Yeah.
it's saying it's just like that too. I actually have the Kindle version too, and sometimes I'll do a bit of both. But I think it's just prioritizing it more. I think I haven't put like if I'm gonna be honest, this last month I haven't prioritized like being a student very much.
Mhm.
And I haven't been doing a very good job at that.
Mm,
And I'll admit that. And I'll admit that something like my breath practice hasn't been super consistent. The readings hasn't been super consistent. I've been meeting up with people and doing breath with them, which has been a good thing, and I'm very grateful for that.
mm,
And that even realized that showed up some spots in myself that I know I need to work on or I know I need to put more energy with. But just all the rest of my life just felt so much to bear that I wasn't really setting aside time for this part of my life. And that's where I'm feeling like I need to go and spend more time now. That's like even with things opening up more, or even within that, finding space within that to go and prioritize prioritize my own healing, prioritize being a student, prioritize all of that. Like cold exposure has been a consistency for me, and it's been something that has been a consistency for me for a very long time. But it's work has been the biggest thing that's came up for me. It's been a lot of eat, sleep, and work, and not a lot of else. And it's taking time to, even within that, taking time to go and do other things within, like find space within the fullness of it. Like for instance, on weekends, I have lots of opportunity to listen to the audiobook and do more reading. So like actually taking that space. My weekends are pretty busy. Like I leave the house at 9:30 in the morning and I get back at about 10:30 at night.
and then you go out dancing.
I will not usually now I can't really dance much on weekends anymore just because usually the events are done by then. But I am dancing again a little bit now too. I'm dancing on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Hmm.
So that's
So,
been, but I need to prioritize being a student again. And
well, yeah, of course, it's almost done.
yeah, it's almost done, but I need to make sure I get over the finish line. I need to
Yeah.
make sure that I do the
Yeah.
things that need to get me over the finish line. So, yeah, I can't neglect it. And that's what some stuff has been showing me. And I did a breath session with a person who I'm working with the other day, and and I felt like I did an all right job facilitating. However, I had a moment where I was like, I don't know how present I am right now. I really
Mm,
tried to get, and it was weird. It wasn't. We did a 45-minute superventilations journey, and
mm,
I felt like I wasn't fully like I was present, but I wasn't like at my highest potential until about half an hour into the journey. And then all of a sudden, boom, I was like really locked in. And I felt like I was able to really hammer in, and I was really able to make a lot of like impact. But the thing that also tripped me up by the journey is, when you're like guiding people and you're getting them to do the breath holds, when you usually when after the breath holds, when people breathe in, it's usually very audible.
mm,
But this person, I couldn't hear them inhale, so it threw
mm.
me right off. I was like, hold out, out, out. Then we take a big breath in and hold it at the top for 15 seconds. And I just never heard that cue. And I was like,
Yeah.
how
Mm,
do I go and it was also in a dark space as well. So
mm.
and they had a blanket on, so I couldn't see the breathing mechanics.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
And
was
then,
like, it very much threw me off. I was like getting in, getting in, getting in, and then it was like, wait.
mm,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Uh, I can relate to that because, and maybe this is something that we will grow as we learn to lead in our confidence and experience, and people will pick up on their nervous system will pick up on something in our voice and our presence that says, listen. But when I've led people, they don't listen.
Hmm.
I say exhale and they keep breathing. And then I say breathe in and hold and they keep holding. And then I say, okay, let's come back to that breath now. I've seen you've been holding a long time now, and let's come back and they still hold. But maybe I just can't see them because yeah, they have a blanket on and they're not moving their face at all. I can't hear anything. So I don't know if they're not listening or I'm just not hearing or seeing. But that's really challenging because I know our teacher likes to say when you're ready to breathe in, or keep holding if you like. But something about him and his voice makes me obey. And I think that's presence. And
Hmm.
that's something that we'll eventually pick up with experience. But yeah, maybe it's because my friends know I'm just still learning and they're like, no, I'm good. I'm going to do my own thing now. Well, do you want me to guide or not? So there's that line again,
Hmm.
of that. I don't know if it's competition and support, just being there to support for others' benefit. But it is a little bit of that masculine, feminine, um, um, allowing people to just do what they want versus, no, I'm leading this. Stay with the group and let's all do this together. So, yeah, a little
I
bit
hear
about,
you.
yeah,
I hear you with that. And I think presence is a really big part of it too. And I
yeah,
found even when I've taken the time to really like, for instance, like say set the altar or get myself ready, do like a little prayer beforehand, get the space ready, make sure I know what's going on, get that like it I've been able to, I think, find a deeper presence. But what happened in my last breath session is I went from just finishing a work shift to I should have given more time. I think if I would have had half an hour longer to set everything up, I would have been good because I basically got home and I had to do the session in 10 minutes. And I was like
mm,
whoa, what how do I
yeah,
like I was like, whoa,
yeah,
okay, gotta rush things, but like still need to take the time for myself.
yeah.
and like learning to be like, okay, you can't rush things. There's times when you just need to give yourself that extra time.
Dude, you want to hear something interesting regarding that? Is I went to a breath circle one time, breath of surrender circle, and the facilitator forgot their speaker. And so, okay, instead of just playing it on their phone really quietly, which a phone can fill a room, um, neighbors are in my backyard. um, Jesus, these old ladies. Um, so the lady went and got her speaker and like drove home across town, and everyone just sat there in the circle and waited for like 20 minutes or something. And so, first of all, I thought, wow, that's impressive. Well, first of all, I was pissed. Like, dude, just ad lib, just make do with your phone or something. And then I realized that she had really mastered the art of not rushing in her facilitation and just rolled with it and let everyone wait so that she could show up calm and prepared, even though, she had to be late. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Huh. Very interesting. How'd the
Mhm.
session go? Did it go fine or did it go well?
It went well for me. Yeah. Yeah. Actually brought my dad and his wife to it. It was their first time
Wow.
going to a breath session, the only time they've ever done it. And I got really awkward and uncomfortable, like sitting in the circle of a bunch of people. And then my dad and his wife, while the lady made us wait, like, oh no, this is turning. So I was sitting there, like, you could see the red in my face as I'm like, and but the journey went well. It was nice, and my dad fell asleep, and his wife had a, very introductory first kind of putting your toes in the water experience, and I was good. And then we tried to book another one, and the person that was facilitating um, canceled. Like, I don't know, it was the day of, so it was the
Hmm.
morning. It was going to be around in the afternoon, and in the morning she canceled. Or no, it was like hours before we were
Oh,
supposed to go,
jeez.
and she canceled saying that she ate something bad for lunch and had a stomach. So, uh, but I do love this person. They're a really good facilitator. So, oh well. But
Hmm.
it's just interesting though that, she listens to herself and doesn't worry about, having to go get the speaker or canceling. She just, I can't show up in the best way, so not gonna do it. And that's that.
Hmm.
So I do respect that. Yeah. I
Hmm.
don't know. I don't think I would ever be able to do that, you know. I'm not that comfortable with that. So yeah.
Yeah. That would do a lot for my it would be very hard for my ego to
Yeah.
do that. I would really
Yeah.
struggle with doing that as well. To
Yeah.
be because I feel like all these people want me to show up. And I've had to do that once for the cold dip actually. But
Hmm.
I gave people a day heads up. And it was
Yeah.
understandable because it was too cold. It was probably like minus 20 something. So it was
Oh yeah.
understandable that we had to cancel.
Uh-huh.
And we still did like an alternative for people to still show up, even though it wasn't the cold dip, but it was still really hard for my ego.
Yeah.
Still it was like people were like, you made a good decision. Like this was very
Oh
good.
yeah.
But I was like, this is very difficult for me to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I think, oh, it's that line again, that fuzzy line of it's okay, and it's also sometimes good to go ahead and meet whatever thing is presenting itself. Like today, going through the shit I just went through this morning, the last thing I wanted to do was talk on the internet because I feel like I'm not funny, I'm not witty, I'm just an emotional fucking blabbermouth. And, you know, I'm not going to have that energy. And people are going to go, I don't want to listen to this. Like, whoever does listen to this, they're like, okay, these guys think they can just whine, or me, I'm talking about me, whine about my problems and call it a podcast. So but the other part of me said, this, who cares who watches it? Um, Jackson is expecting me. I respect his time. That's you. And I also know that some kind of healing and breakthrough could come from doing this right now in my wounded, broken, uncomfortable feeling. And I know I've seen our teacher do it. I've seen him facilitate when he was going through some really hard stuff. And
Mm.
I noticed, why is he talking so quiet? Like, something's different. And then he shared with me afterward what he was going through. But he he gave it. He gave it all he had. And yeah, but the energy in the room sure was different. I felt, but for me, but other people in the room said, "Oh, it was the best experience of their lives." One kid shared. He goes like, "Wow, that was," you know. So, first
Wow.
timer. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So
Mm. Yeah.
I guess if you were a performer, going on stage, having to play music, or I know I've heard a lot of stand-up comic podcasts talk about when they've been going through the worst stuff in their lives and they get up on stage and somehow they're able to alchemize their pain into some of the best performances they've ever done. So, yeah, I think I'm, you know, when I was still drinking, I used to have to show up to do various jobs in the morning, and I would force myself to do it. And, you know, I will admit that I would, you know, have a little bit of whatever substance, whatever dragon bit me, I'd have a little scale from that dragon or a little hair of the dog, to get me through. But rather than call in and say, I'm sick, because I was hungover, I would just self medicate until I was able to just push through and do it.
Mm.
And that was mixed results. Yeah, yeah. But I'm definitely a believer in pushing through. Yeah. So, and I guess maybe that's a masculine feminine thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with that too. Like I really hate, well, I really don't like not showing up. That is
Yeah.
something that I re
Yeah.
and I think it could definitely be that masculine parts as well too. But it's
Hmm.
and it's interesting how you talk about the like the pain can alchemize.
Hmm.
Like it's interesting. There definitely can be that moment. There definitely can be. Sometimes it won't be. It won't be like that, but I think all you can do is try. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it doesn't, what can you learn from it? And how can you proceed moving forward?
Hmm.
So, yeah, sweet. Well, is there any last things that you want to share or talk about before we end the podcast, Peter?
Um, I know who I am. I know what I am, and I know how I serve. Thank you, Jackson.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. Awesome. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. And I'll see you on our call tonight for Lightforce.
Yes. Yeah. Better have some dinner and read fast.
Yeah. Got 2
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Go, Daddy, go.
Peacock out. Woo! Peacock et pamplemousse. Oh. Nya! Nya!